Well, I guess I'll show my multiple personalities, but I do it in clips. Um, the truth, where I'm really at right now, like brutal honesty. Uh, so a friend and I got into a fight. A friend that has been a friend for since I was in grade 10. Clearly, we have different views on things, the world. And this is the reality right now. And I know everybody can only understand from their level of perception, but I do know things to be fact. I know things to be fact that I've done more inner work than most people. I can say that, I can see that, and I know that for fact. Because I see how she lives and her circumstances and her hypocrisies, because and this is why I didn't get into an argument, because when she posted something about Jeff and Bill and what it was, and because she doesn't understand the internet, which I do, and I understand where that comes from and how that's tied to media and everything else. I'm like, well, I'm not even going to get into this debate because I have way more information than she does. But she's sitting there looking at me like I'm the bad guy. And she's also, everything has to do with her believing that she's taking down this patriarchy system or whatever. She's not taking it down. She doesn't have that belief. I have that belief. And every day I have action to do so. So I that's another thing. So I'm actually doing something. She just has, her post to her 90 followers who don't want to see her post, who don't have enough courage to actually get into it or anything with her and don't give a fuck about what she's talking about. So who's really doing more? So that's at the core. I'm doing something to help the world. I'm doing something to make changes. You're just shitting, like you're just spewing out more hate because you're angry and not looking inward. And that goes back, even there's a movie, The Forever Purge, I started watching yesterday. And, on the flip side of it, right, how wrong, that it's like, oh, it's got to have, and the government in control and letting people go and then dividing people and everything else. But on the flip side, and I get that anger because American history is very wrong and how it teaches it and how they took the country, just like Canada and all of that. So you have to understand that culture, right? You do. And why minorities are repressed. That's very important. So she actually said, "Oh, my white privilege." I'm like, well, I understand that a lot more, and she really insults my intelligence because that is something that is very important to me. Because in all of the injustice I faced in my life, all of the abuse, I'm still aware that that's the case, and that's actually why I'm doing what I do, to be a voice for people who don't have one, to help elevate them, because I see everybody as equals. I truly do. But I understand, right, based on the system and why, and that's what ties to the media, and they don't want that. And she works for the government. And she doesn't see, and what she chooses to put in her mind and how she understands things. And she believes, oh, the job creation, this, that, and the other thing. Where I come from, the entrepreneur side and business, and you need people to create business, be innovative, to do things, to create more jobs. Like, it has to, so it's like everybody falls into their natural place, and then nobody's doing a job they don't want to do. So it's actually, that's freeing, globally, people from being slaves, right? Because we're slaves to country on top of everything else, right? So nobody's actually been free, and that's where that system. So when people say America and the American dream, well, that is a sales pitch to, that's only benefited a small group of people. And when people fight so much on this whole socialization and then blah 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 blah, they don't understand something that's far deeper. And because she doesn't understand the affiliate program type of system, or understand how culture, like on the other side, it's like what I'm doing right now, right? I have so when I worked for a company out of the UK, so you got to think, they earn whatever pounds. If they hire somebody in Canada, like myself, they get my rate, like it's good money to me in Canada, right? So you have to also understand currency. And I go, okay, well, this is good enough to learn or whatever. It's under what I would want to value, but I'll take it, I learn and experience that, that's a good thing. But to them, that's like savings, right? Because you get a talented person in a different country. Well, keep in mind right now, we're white, right? So, I just get this, that's a deal. Then on the flip, all of a sudden you hire an American, a writer, $60,000 a year US, pounds to US dollars. Same thing, but we're white, right? So that's like, okay, well, but we're women. So it employed white women. Okay, well, we're less than. Because I know that mentality of that person had that, like, that's why the company is failing. And I had to walk, like, I got wrongfully let go because of my mental illness, but from an ignorant, privileged white guy, right? Who hires, so in his business platform, then hires people outside of the country, whatever, and markets to people to take these programs into these things. And that's kind of like so it's on one side, he's hiring only these people to be cheap because that's how in his mind, it's building the company. It's all about money. It's not about the right intentions behind that company, right? So in those circumstances, you can build, you're saving money, you hire staff outside of your kind of element, have other people. So he hired other people in other countries to do the tech and different things or whatever else. But I can tell by the culture and by the way the conversations went and the meetings, he didn't have respect for any of us, really. Me as a woman, them as women, or the different culture. So that's where it's the core of a business. And then when we all, like, whatever, everybody's out, like, now it's again back to him and building, and like, that's, your company is not gonna, it might grow, you might make money, but you're gonna be struggling all the time because, or you get big, but nobody's around you that wants to be around you. They're only around you because you're paying them, or fear, right? That's the other thing. As people get more, they don't like you, they're just around you. Well, that's shitty, right? That's stupid. So I don't believe in that platform. I believe in the platform so there's kind of a couple things going on. So right now where I stand, I haven't made any money. Like, I've been working on Elegantly Outrageous for 3 years right now. Like hardcore working on it. Like really investing money behind a computer. At first I was working 3 jobs when I started, down to 2. 4 jobs when I started, down to 3, down to 2, down to now just Elegantly Outrageous, and now I'm going to expand out. I was making other money, and I say that jobs, like the network marketing that I was doing in the old school way, but that just became another job. So I had so many distractions. So all of those had to be removed. So that's like walking away from the money first to focus on the dream. And that was really difficult. Really difficult. But also needed to be done because at the same time, I'm dealing with the stuff around me. The people, I'm having good intention. I'm trying to help everybody, my family, my circumstances, everything. I have a past of traumatic abuse, right? I have a past of so much abuse. And that all kind of came crashing down, and that's where it started. My PTSD started coming back when I did the fight, which is now about 3 years ago, which, so I have it's a switch on and off, because that's the manipulate, so I could be a bully to bullies because I would know, I can recognize injustice, boom, I have no problem standing up for people. When it was myself, I had a harder time. But it's not it's the manipulation behind something, or it's the passive aggressiveness. Passive aggressiveness is one of the hardest things to deal with, because it's like, is that right or wrong? And you have to know, you have to come from a position of strength. And that's where I have to educate people on that. So I had to get rid of all of these layers, right, to do that. And I went to the hospital thinking I would get help. And I went there 3 times, but there was no help. There was only more abuse. And I discovered there really was no system or help. And that goes back to, so my friend, whose best friend, who claims to be a friend, works, like, she could have got my license back for me. She could have wrote a letter. She could have done whatever if she actually believed in me. But she didn't. She doesn't know me, really, at all. Just like this nasty message that I get in our conversation, I'm defending something because she doesn't understand how that all works. She's coming from all I said, we're going to agree to disagree. She's pushing her beliefs on me, her stuff on me, saying, well, no, you need to look into it. Like, whereas I'm saying I have, and I know, and I'm building that same type of thing because I have people. So that goes back to my intention. So my intention is to help as many people in the world as possible. First, like, really, like, my main focus is empowering women, 100%. And also, though, freeing men and men's rights and how that is, because it's a very backwards thing. So as a woman speaking up for men who haven't, because I've seen that injustice on that side too, right? And then so I've had to go, okay, this is a big, big deal, because that's a mental health aspect, which is, I'm a mental health advocate. So I understand that. So I've had to really, I've like let go of everything layer by layer as I put myself out there, and that's intimidating. And that's another thing. She doesn't understand what it's like to be a public figure because she doesn't take the risk to put herself out there, doesn't want that, but then is living in, and that's, when you put yourself out there, the amount of energy that comes back to you, because it's people's perceptions and they only have one version of the story, which is media. And that's when media misrepresents somebody, how painful that can be. And when somebody just does that for money or does that for whatever and doesn't see what they're doing to somebody's life and they don't get their facts straight, how dangerous that is. And even on that though, the reporters and the people and where that goes to and who owns the media, if you don't fucking understand the chain of where that comes from, then you're ignorant. And I'm trying to educate people on that. So it just came to, like, I'm like, this is so fucking ridiculous, because I'm out, like, I know I'm on to, I am not changing. I wrongfully lost my child due to a terrible system. Parent alienation. I had to, though, see myself first and understand what I was really dealing with first. I had to really, really understand me and be selfish, because I realized I don't have energy. Like, I wrongfully lost my child, but that's exactly what needed to happen so I can get strong enough to be selfish, to be the example and get her back. And all of these things coming together. And people, when you have a vision and it's yours, it's hard to get other people on board or on those things, right? Unless they just get it. And you have to get better, if you need more help, better at explaining yourself, better at showing people that vision. And that's when I had to learn to look inward. So every day I'm fucking exhausted because I'm doing inner work. I'm doing work to help the world. And then I put out a different image of myself on social media that could be like, it's like, that's what I call like timelines, because it's like what I'm going through internally to what I post to what's there. And then I work through that storyline in my head. And then I just, piece it together creatively. So I have not made any money from the company. I had to back away, throw out all the money, throw out the people, throw out the stuff and go, okay, I gotta work this out. And I'm at the phase where, like, after, getting some things done this month and then next month building. Well, I can't afford to hire somebody for $60,000 US to write. And really, is the job worth that if the quality... Maybe not. Right now, so as we started, I hired this first girl from the Philippines. She's a good writer, but wasn't exceptional, right? So I was like, I'm overpaying right now. She might be working hard, but until she gets her skill levels up, because I know she's rushing. This is the issue. She's taking on too many clients, taking on too many things, and then she's rushing. Why? Because she's trying to, feel like, because she's in a circumstance that she's and trying to do that, but that's actually going to be detrimental. But also there on her end, I'm sure there's a lack of trust, a lack of things. But as her skills develop, so we're working together on that, because I see her as a person that I go, holy shit, like I want to, and she doesn't know me yet too, but like we're building up to that, because that's a trust factor, that I actually want to build this up to something that she's making, like unlimited income, like whatever she wants it to be, and as an equal member of the team. But that's the opportunity she has to see and trust. Like, I can't do that. So you get paid what a job's worth. Okay, well, right now that job to do the writing, the emails, whatever, $1,000 US, that's a lot of money to me. That's a lot of money to me Canadian. That comes out to, whatever, $1,200, something $100 when you don't have an income. But that's an investment. Plus I have all the other stuff, but I'm investing because that makes more sense to have somebody else do it, so I can work on the other things, right? So that's how it comes together. So she's in the Philippines. That's good money, more there. Like, it's a different rate. So it's kind of like in England, the pounds to here, like a different amount. But also, so that's her choice that she's chosen to do. So that's like a globalization. It's like, oh, okay, so I don't, because she's like a different culture, different things. What does that fucking matter? Like, nothing. She's doing a job and she's writing. And if she's rushing and the job's not good, well, that's gonna be that's an issue. She has to have somebody else checking it or doing whatever else. As she gets better and we build, she can make more money. I have no problem paying more money when we get money coming in, right? And the first month, and then there was the other girl that I had, and she's like, oh, I want this much money or whatever, expecting. She came in as an intern. So that's like she needed, the one girl needed help. I say okay. But then all of a sudden they have an expectation of the money that I'm supposed to pay. I'm like, hold on, no, we agreed on this internship to see how it works. But my natural thing is I feel guilty and want to pay people. I'm like, I have to learn too. People have to earn their spot. So that's me learning and not being taken advantage of, because that's another thing. And I don't like that conflict either. But I had to work through. So the first pay, like, because the job wasn't done really that was worth the money. Like, I'm like, no, this isn't good enough. We had expectations. It's obvious I'm not a priority here. It's being rushed. So if your quality of work doesn't match, why am I out? So I had to learn how to be stronger too. Then I had to evaluate my way of leadership and go, I'm not giving proper deadlines and instructions. I'm not going to micromanage. I fucking hate micromanaging. People that micromanage can't be honest with themselves in their own lives. That's how they control shit. That's fucked up. You're fucked up. If you're micromanaging, you're a shit leader. You're a shit boss. You suck. Because that you're not self-evaluating, because you're not actually trusting yourself to choose the right team and the right people. That takes time and the things, but it also takes skill to learn. Look back at yourself and go, what type of instructions am I giving? What type of guidance? And is this realistic? Because you can say, I want done. But if you've never done, then that's where a lot of these fucking rich fucks who have never really worked don't understand what actually goes in it. The energy exhaustion. That actually goes back to where I'm now going to defend Hollywood and performers and whatever else too, because people look at that and, oh, that's not work, or modeling or whatever. That's not a job. That's just easy. If you really knew what went into that and the energy exhaustion, if you haven't gone through that or you haven't lived through that, you don't understand. And that's where this whole thing comes back and forth. How you respond, how you do things. You can be in a good-looking body and take advantage of people and be a shady, fucking ignorant ass. That's not cool. Then you're not playing, then you're just a manipulative fuck. You can be rich with power and everything else, and you're just having people around. You're a manipulative fuck, right? You have to recognize first, are you attracted to manipulative fucks? Why? What is it like? And you have to learn to let go and not let them do that. That's on you. And at the same time, if those people are like that, and those people are doing that, well, that's pretty fucking sick. And I'm here to point out, like, you're fucked, because that's and I don't want those people around me, and I know I'm not like that. So that's why I defend it, because I know I looked internally. Sure, I don't know Jeff, and I don't know Bill. We've never spoke. I don't know the majority of these billionaires. I don't know them. So I know I want to be a billionaire. I absolutely do. And I will be. And I'll use my money for good, and I'm going to enjoy life. And I've had to learn that I needed to get to this point, because I never saw my value there either. Because why? Because I look down on people like that because of my father's mentality, right? Because his mentality was status. It was about the money. That's ego. You have to let that go internally, say, okay, who's in there? I've seen and know, like, throughout the process, like, in my head, okay, yeah. Because I can imagine, like, you do change and grow and do different things and stupid things, but what was the intention originally, and can we come back around? All right, is this for, like, did you learn? Yeah. Okay, are you going to fix it? Yeah. Okay, great. So that's a whole, that's one area of that. So I have to trust the intentions behind different things. It's like trust is like a higher standard than love. Like I love, but trust is like, I trust you, we're doing something, like, then the intentions behind it, because then we're not getting into all of these unnecessary fights. That's why I'm like, if she really knew me, she would know my intentions and everything that I've been doing. But she's sitting there angry at me because it looks like on social, I'm doing all these things, blah, 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 whatever, and I'm not paying attention to her. But the reality is, I am being honest with my path and what I can handle and who I want in my circle and what I'm doing, because all the days, it doesn't mean I don't love her, because I do. And it's like my daughter, I can only give what I can give right now. As much, I've lost her and I'm doing all this work to get her back, But when she's in my space and in my circle right now, I can only handle a little bit because I have to still bottle up so much energy. And when and then I can release. And that's an unhealthy way to be. But that's what's happened. So I have to just be, that's when you're like pure honesty. Like, this is the circumstance I'm in. But this is what I'm doing, and this is how and every day I'm working through that. So I am, and I'm feeling better every day as I release things, but I'm realizing the people that are meant for me, like she got nasty and said things that were beyond hurtful. Her perspective is completely wrong, but I'm still not going to try to change her opinion. And that's like these religious people and church people and pushing God on you and blah, 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 blah. Your way is not the right way. Because I've never lost faith in God, and I found God, and I went internally. That's why I said spirituality is much higher. And you don't get that from a building and a church. And that's why everything had to be torn apart to be rebuilt. And the truth is with ego, it's you have to like come back around and how I really feel after all the shit that people have put me through, after the nastiness, after everything, and when I only had good intentions and I kept beating myself up, I'm like, you know what, then bye. Like you told me who you really were. She called me, delusional. I'm like, I'm gonna help millions of people. I know I am. That's 1,000,000% true. Billions, maybe. Millions for sure. And because I'm already on the path to doing it. And I do it every day where I'm doing something. Every day. And I said, I felt because I have integrity. I don't just talk, I do. And the reality is, once, I'm delusional, I'm this and that because she can't see her own illness. It comes back to ego with vengeance on everything, because I know I'm giving more love to the world. I know everything else, but my motivations with all of these people that have hurt me, all of these people that I gave love to, that I let in my head mind fuck me when I was only ever trying to appease them, comes back to ego. The truth is, they're not getting back, and I want them to see me succeed. I want them to see me succeed so they see what they did and how they failed. That is a motivation, absolutely, for sure. And you can't control that. You can't make people see it. But I'm going so big that I know they will.